How are you?
I'm excellent. You know, you're originally from Pennsylvania, correct?
I sure am. I'm from Pittsburgh, a small town called Duquesne, which is actually right outside of Pittsburgh.
Wow, I feel like Pennsylvania, it's considered it has this blue collar perception, to compare it to the rest of America. How did you end up in the entertainment industry?
We are from Steel City, baby. My aunt happened to marry an executive producer, and she moved from Pittsburgh to California, and my mother followed her older sister. And following her older sister, I became her husband, who is my uncle's muse. And he wrote a script called Punky Brewster. And he thought it was cool to use my name on TV. I didn't understand that he was just using my name. And I was like, hey, Unc, you using my name? When do we go to work? And he was like, baby, I didn't write it for you to do the job. I wrote it, just thinking you would think that it was cool that I used your name. I convinced his wife, my aunt, to take me on some auditions. And 7 auditions later, the president of NBC told my uncle, give your niece the job.
That's an amazing story. What was it like, starting as a child actor on one of the biggest shows, I feel like of that era.
I guess it was an amazing feeling. I went to work with my best friends. I was in love with my uncle. I was in love with Soleil. And I went to work and I played every day. I really didn't even realize that I was working. I was just seeing my favorite people and doing what I loved. I didn't really realize the impact that the show had until many, many, many years later, until social media.
Right.
Till I was in my 30s. I knew that we were popular, like, popular kids in school, but I didn't really understand at the time how many people grew up with me.
I um I remember that show very vividly. It was one of my favorite shows, growing up. And then you ended up on another one of my favorite shows. It was part of TGIF. That was like a huge thing, in my household, as many other households in America. What was it like, being on Family Matters?
Family Matters was amazing. So Darius McQuarrie and I had the same agents for a while when we were kids, and we had met almost a year and a half prior to me getting the job. And so Darius told me at this party where we met, it was a Christmas party from an agent. He told me I was going to be his wife. I think we were 12. The next year, turn around, I auditioned for the show. I walk into work my first day, and who do I see? My husband to be. It was an amazing experience. And then Sean Harrison, who played Waldo, had prior been on Punky Brewster as Gonoldi. And so our relationship and friendship flourished and carried on as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So I know now you do a lot of things, you produce films, you write, after leaving Family Matters, how did you transition to doing all these different roles in your career?
When Family Matters was over, I didn't get a job for a year. I actually didn't even get an audition until like November. And my first audition was for the Parkers. And I was so excited. I booked it, thank God. And I went to work, but I realized that I didn't want to leave my career in the hands of other people because they had this preconceived notion of who they thought that I was supposed to be. Being, coming off of Family Matters and coming off of Punky Brewster, I was still that little girl from TV. So they wouldn't let me play like the young crackhead. I couldn't be the mom. They just didn't want to see me doing that. And I realized the only way I was going to keep my career kind of flourishing and going was to take control of it and stop waiting for people to hire me and hire myself.
That's amazing. What would be your advice to people pursuing a career in the entertainment industry?
I would let everybody know you get one job out of 100 auditions. So statistically, hang in there. And when you're just about to give up, watch that chance blow. Also, don't listen to other people. If they don't live the life that you live, or they're not manifesting for their life what you're manifesting for yours, they won't understand your journey. And that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to. So do what feels good in your heart. Don't always share everything you want to do with the people around you because they can't believe in you the way you believe in yourself.
Definitely. You know, how important is manifestation, you know, in your own life? Like, you know, can you give like an example? I've seen like, you know, on your YouTube channel, you have some videos like where you talk about like, you know, stuff like that.
I am huge on manifestation. I believe that I've manifested my whole entire life from Punky on up. Anything that you can visualize yourself with, you can have. And I literally visualize my day. Like when I'm laying in bed before I get up, I sit down and I think about everything that I have to do. And then I notice my days go a lot smoother rather than the days I just get up and I drag out of bed. I'm not as productive. But when it comes to like big purchases or a career or relationship, love, whatever it is that you're looking for, sometimes it's hard to see yourself with the thing, right? Because you're not quite in that spot. But if you put it out into the universe and you ask for it, the universe is abundant and it'll give you everything that you want and everything that you need and everything that you deserve. You just have to believe it. And once you start believing it, you start seeing yourself with it. And once you see yourself with it, it's coming.
That's a beautiful message. You know, I am really interested that you're still like, you know, pursuing a career in acting. I saw that you're in Little Six film, and like, you know, being a huge fan of like urban films, like, you know, what was it like working on that project?
Hacks. I got to be one of the producers of PAX. I learned a lot. It is about PAX. That's all I'll say on the podcast. You need to watch it. It's up on TV. It was amazing being a part of that project because Sick was really excited about doing the movie. And Michael Sterling is one of my dear friends who was the director. And so working with people that I love is amazing.
Is there anybody you want to work with that you haven't? Like, you know, I know you've worked with a lot of like, you know, incredible people, like, you know, throughout your career.
Absolutely. I would love to work with Sally Fields because being a little girl, I loved Gidget. Like, who didn't? And I love The Flying Nun. And Sally is one of those incredible people who have worked through generations,
Right.
you know, and I would pray that my career could parallel hers.
That's amazing, Cherie. You know, I know you're a huge fan of music. That, you know, what's on your playlist like right now?
My playlist is so crazy because I'm still learning and I'm still like I got some kids, right? So my kids are introducing me to people that I never like. I didn't know who Blackpink was. They got me listening to Blackpink. They got me listening to all these. Okay, so excuse me, I don't know all these young rappers apart, but like I just learned the difference between Young Jeezy. I know. Talk about me. And is young somebody else. They actually had me listening to Young Ma. I fell in love this year with Kevin Gates.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a little behind. There's a lady named, what's her name? It's Sahid. I'm sorry, Sahid, but I can't remember your last name. But it's kind of like Sinead. It's not Sinead O'Connor, but it's like Sinead something. And I fell in love with her. I'll have to tell you who it is later.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I love me some LMA. I love her.
Yeah. I love
Uh,
all those, like Kevin Gates is definitely one of my favorite artists. I love listening to Vouch, that gets me in the you know, sets my day right. Like, you know, what's next for you in your career?
More producing. I am planning on, if I can get it done, I'm back to writing books. I took a little hiatus after I had my baby because I just couldn't concentrate. So if I can get a book out every quarter next year, and this year, I put out one this year. I missed the second quarter, but maybe I can get one out the third. Um, I'm I'm like back to just being creative again. My daughter's a little bit older. I'm homeschooling, but she's a little bit more independent and self-sufficient, so she doesn't need me like she did. And I will be producing a couple more films before the end of the year.
Definitely, you know, being a mom and like, you know, being someone who's in the entertainment industry, how do you balance like, you know, those roles? Because I see
Not
like, you
not well. People always say, like, well, what are you working on now? I'm like, being a mother.
know,
And I homeschool my daughter. So, she gets 99% of my time, which I want to thank you because a lot of people don't know you reached out to me several months ago to do this interview. And I asked you, could you please wait until summer when I wasn't teaching to do it? So thank you for being patient with me.
right.
Um,
Of course. And so much is going on, like, you know, like the SAG like now is on strike. Like I think like a month ago the WGA was on strike. Do you have any input like on that or like observations?
So I'm just kind of like observing, right? Because I didn't have a job anyway. So it's not really affecting me at this point. But I'm laughing because most of the people who are worried about this union strike aren't even in the union. This is not the first time I've seen this. Punky Brewster did not get a final episode because the writers were on strike. Most people don't realize that this has happened before. Family Matters didn't get a final episode because the writers were on strike. So it's something that happens like every 10 years, and it needs to happen because our last contract negotiations were, and they definitely weren't looking out for our best interest. But I'm not as concerned as, I hear a lot of other people. They need to fix our contracts. We need to get our residual money. Streaming has killed us just like it killed the music business. So yeah, a lot of us need our insurance. They've upped the threshold from $13,000 a year to $22,000 a year, which has made it harder for the artists who are living off of residuals. When their shows are streaming, they're not making enough money now to have their pension, health, and welfare. Like there's no reason why you have women like Sharon Stone who are fighting to have health insurance. So I think the strike is very needed, but I find it comical that most of the people who are wondering, worried about it are not even paying union dues.
100%. Cherie, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
For sure.